I'm 28 years old and have been in a relationship with my girlfriend for at least 3 years. I thought everything was fine until a seemingly innocent group chat completely changed the way I saw the relationship. A group of our friends had been hanging out, playing video games, going to the pub and watching movies, all in a relaxed way, without a group chat. One day we created a group chat to organize an upcoming weekend trip. At first we had a good time chatting about who was driving and who was bringing what, but soon the conversation took a turn when someone joked about secrets being revealed on trips, mentioning some old scandals from our circle of friends. I didn't think much of it, but then my girlfriend joined in with a meaningful comment. Secrets always come out at the worst possible times, trust me. I knew the conversation had paused, but I hadn't said anything in the chat, but her tone made my stomach clench. As we sat on the sofa, I leaned in close to her and asked her softly what that meant. She glanced at me, and her expression immediately became guarded. It was nothing, just a joke, she said. But I didn't believe her, because later that night the others in the group pursued her about what she had said before. Why did you say not proud? They asked me. My unease grew day by day, she responded. It really wasn't a big deal. Everyone makes mistakes, and it seems like he doesn't know either. And then there was a wink emoji. My heart suddenly dropped into my stomach. The hint was unmistakable. My intuition told me that she was definitely talking about me. But I didn't dare ask directly. More questions popped up in the group chat. Everyone demanded details, asking if she was talking about an affair, and that's when she dropped the bomb. Okay, I went out with someone at that music festival last year, but it was a one-off and I was drunk, so it doesn't matter now. The group chat was full of disbelief. He had no idea. I froze. My heart was racing. We had been to the music festival together. I left early because I had a meeting the next morning, and she stayed with friends. She even insisted that I didn't need to worry about her because she hadn't told me and she would hitch a ride home. I trusted her completely, and now it was all falling apart before my eyes. I glanced at her, and she was staring at her phone, pale, but I was too numb to explain. I asked her in a barely audible voice. It's not what it sounds like. I put down my phone and stood up. What is it? Because now it sounds like you cheated. Group chat notifications were buzzing in the background, but I could only focus on her. She reached out and grabbed my arm, her voice desperate. That was stupid. Okay, I was drunk. I barely remember. It doesn't mean anything. I felt a surge of anger. You didn't think it was worth telling me, but instead exposed me in front of all our friends. It was a harmless joke. She folded her arms and looked defiant. I didn't tell you because I knew you would overreact. It was a mistake. I didn't want to ruin our relationship. I could feel my trust in her crumbling. Our relationship. I raised my voice. You mean our relationship is that I completely trust you, and you hide such a secret from me? She raised her voice. It's no big deal. Why are you making such a big deal of it? I couldn't believe her audacity. She had deceived me, lied to me, and then casually mentioned it in a group chat as if it were a meaningless anecdote. I didn't say another word. I grabbed my keys and walked out of the apartment, leaving her standing there to chase after me. At that moment, I knew there was no going back. I drove aimlessly for hours, with every word she said, her excuses, her justifications playing over and over in my head. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not only had she cheated on me, she had also mocked my trust. She had treated it like some kind of inconvenience, something to be ignored, not the foundation we had built together. When I returned to the apartment that evening, I knew what I had to do. She was sitting on the sofa, her face streaked with tears, her face red with crying. You just left, she said, her voice shaking. I need time to think about it, I answered, my tone curt. And now have you thought about it? She asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. Without hesitation, I said yes, I had already made up my mind. Her expression changed slightly, as if she thought there was still a chance. I'm sorry, I know I messed up, but we can work it out together. No, I said firmly. We can't. I've had enough. Her face froze, and she blinked rapidly, trying to understand what I had just said. You're about to throw everything away because of one mistake. I sneered. One mistake. I repeated. It wasn't just cheating, it was lying you never intended to tell me. And you joked about it nonchalantly, as if it was nothing. You disrespected me at every turn. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I felt no sympathy. She tried to shift the blame, her voice desperate. You've been distant lately. I don't think you care. I was vulnerable that night. I shook my head in disbelief. You can't make this my fault. You had plenty of chances to tell me the truth. But you decided to keep it a secret. You can't rewrite history now. Her attitude became defiant, her voice cold. Fine, if you want to end the relationship, go ahead, but don't pretend as if you're perfect. You also have flaws. I met her gaze without flinching. Maybe I'm not perfect, I said, walking over to the wardrobe and taking out a box, but I've never cheated on you. I turned to her, and then I made my decision, and started packing my things. She stared at me in disbelief. You're throwing me out? Yes, I said, my voice sounding harsh. This is my apartment. You've been living here, and I've paid all the bills. You can go and stay with your friends or wherever you want, but you can't live here anymore. She tried everything, pleading, crying, shouting, even threatening to tell her friends that I was being unreasonable, but I didn't give in. The next morning, she left, leaving just a few boxes behind. Over the next few days, the group chat became a mess. Some of my friends expressed shock and support for my decision, while others tried to remain neutral, claiming that they were in no position to judge. But one of them defended her, saying that everyone makes mistakes. Don't you think you've gone too far? I immediately retorted that cheating was not a mistake, but a choice she had made to betray me, and now she was facing the consequences. The news quickly spread, and soon mutual friends contacted me for details. I kept things simple. She cheated. I found out. I ended the relationship, and that was all there was to it. Meanwhile, she was trying to portray herself as the victim, telling people that I had overreacted and thrown her out, leaving her homeless. One of my close friends called to say that she had told everyone that you had made her homeless. I laughed bitterly. Homeless? She had family and friends, and plenty of places to stay. I just got angry that I couldn't manipulate her anymore. I focused on moving on. I changed the locks on my apartment, blocked her number, and deleted her from all my social media. She tried to contact me through mutual friends, but I made it clear that I didn't want to be contacted anymore. The final straw was when she showed up at my workplace and demanded to talk. Security escorted her out, and I filed a formal complaint. A few months later, I heard that she had moved in with one of her friends. I felt a sense of relief. I had completely erased her from my life. In retrospect, I realized that her infidelity was just the tip of the iceberg. Her self-righteous, irresponsible behavior and attempts to manipulate others were symptomatic of deeper problems. Ending it was not only the right decision, it was the only option. Now, I am focusing on myself and trying to build a future without her interference. The lesson I have learned from all of this is that trust is everything, and once trust is broken, there is no going back.